There you go. Let me know if you can hear me. All right, greetings, everyone. Our presentation is called Simple Localization, question mark. A little bit of irony embedded here. I mean, whether it is simple in the first place. And simple is also the name of our app. Yeah, so our disclaimer. Just briefly, what you will and will not find in this presentation. There will not be a single word about machine post-editing or using machine translation. No info on where to find cheap translators or how to negotiate the rates, because we're against that. No funny illustrations about the errors in translation. And then, for the umpteenth time, we will not be explaining what localization and internationalization is. There will be an OD of irony here, self-irony included, lots of jokes, English borrowings, professional slang, lots of memes, furry art, and of course there will be cases sharing the experience, because that's the whole point, right? So briefly about our app. The app is called Simple, and our company is called IMAX. And so the app is about intermittent fasting, about this whole approach to nutrition. But we're not going to be your nutrition experts telling you what to eat and in what amounts. We're more like your pocket advisor, helping you to transition to a healthier lifestyle. We've been 2 years in the market, 20+ million overall revenue, 11+ million installations. We're translated into 6 languages, rated highly in the US market. Just briefly about us. Rated top, actually. So about our mascot. You might have seen these stickers. And Sasha, by the way, I believe that you've distributed those. So as you can see, these are 2 mascots that we have. These little Ratatoskr and Freya. Ratatoskr is a Scandinavian creature, mythical creature, and a little squirrel, Freya, linking those 9 worlds, being a messenger between the top worlds and the bottom worlds. And so we figured that this squirrel would work as a mascot. It would be perfect for us because it is a mythical creature, connecting the worlds, the same as what we do in a way. And so it is there for a reason, this mascot, I mean, because it stands for our common message, our common vision, how we see ourselves, what we do. We often use that in our style guides, internal, external communications, including at events such as this one. Truth be told, every sticker has a story behind it. Such as this one's story about adding ketchup to pasta. You can see that the squirrel is doing just that. I mean, the Italian clients were outraged by that. And their advice was to take it out. I mean, you shouldn't be portraying anyone using or adding ketchup to their pasta, according to them. So anyway, we still have some of those stickers available. And if you enjoy the presentation, you can always come up to Sasha and get one. So hurry. Next slide. So, tooting my own horn a bit here. I am a localization lead. My name is Pasha. I have about 10 years of experience. I am a military translator and a reserve officer. And I manage localization in Simple. I also make and produce music. Hey, that would be me. Yes, over to you, Sasha. So my name is Sasha, helping Pasha localize the app. Yeah, like this. Okay. So I've been doing this for many years here and there, localizing stuff as a translator, the editor. Then I took it to I had this mental level up thing, and I now localize Simple. I do full stack. I'm now a full stack localization specialist. I freelance. I have plans to do this further as a localization engineer or manage the development of localization products. So I will see you later, guys, in my part of the woods here. Sasha, Pasha, over to you. Yes, I will tell you a little bit about how we localized the app. I will just share some experience, and then Sasha will pick up from there to tell you more about the tech part. So, as it usually happens, when I came to work for Simple, this was me, essentially. I didn't know much. I had to learn stuff. So there was this starter pack that we had to localize 350,000+ words. Our content is mostly Instagram stories and posts, story-like articles, rather, 1,500+. And roughly 5,000 UI strings, FAQ for marketing, major redo matrices, things like that. So this is like a picture from the documentary, me being the tumbleweed, and the guys looking at me and the things that I have to handle somehow. And the deadlines were tight. We had to do this somehow in 4 months. And then there was this big question of recruitment. We had to build the team to do this. So it wasn't an easy task, let me tell you, to build a team of freelancers. Usually it costs a lot. So we had this plan. The starter pack would be handled by an MLV or an LSP Then we would figure out the bottlenecks, the main challenges, how it works. Then, meet with all those breaks, step on them as many times as we had to. And on our team, we have translators, editors, testers, designers, artists, DTP guys. So this is what our approach was. And now I feel that this is just the right time for us to explain to you why we do this in this special way. I don't mean to make it sound too academic, such as the expert knowledge and things like that. I don't want to make it that sort of a presentation. Let me just tell you that our approach is simple, it is fun, and it is easy to understand. So we care about our user and we try to avoid any complicated phrasing. It sounds very simple, what we offer. Like I said, our app is about healthy lifestyle. And so the user works with the text that we offer. They rely on that text. Hence the processes that we employ.
It's very important that the user's interaction with the text remained positive and offered positive experience, so that people wanted to read our articles and increased their engagement. And considering our approach and considered our localization pack, we've found out certain problems. The picture speaks for itself. What I want to say here is working with MLVs on a variety of projects, we were not completely happy with that. First of all, because just an internal thing for us. We say that this is the Prometheus fire. It's the knowledge of the product that you need to have to localize it at high quality. And the Prometheus is the person who is responsible for localization, and who would pass this fire. And the more people are there in the chain of passing this fire, the more issues are there. So we wanted to pass this fire of knowledge of our app directly to our translators, without as few middle people as possible. Of course, there were quite a few difficult points here, and you had to put more effort and energy into developing a proper team, in-house team. And I'm thinking here, to discuss this topic, you probably need a separate presentation, but I'm going to mention just the main issues that our team encountered. The most painful one was about feedback of people responsible for executing, for delivering, considering our approach to the quality of localization. It's important to have feedback and give feedback that facilitates further improvement of localization quality. Unfortunately, we had points where this feedback resulted in certain internal competition, and we had to track those cases. Our tasks are creative tasks, and our level of adaptation is quite high. I'm going to show it to you later. And sometimes people responsible for executing the task itself would just decline it, and they would be offered something else. They were ready to conduct simple tasks like just translation or editing, but that does not align well with our approach, and we had to part our ways with people like that. There were also cases where multiple people from one team would be saying that some other part of the team is failing the team, but the person that was blamed would not agree and would say that they would just want to get rid of me from this team to take more work for them. So you had to go through all the details about who's right and who's wrong, and it's nothing. It's not fun. This social engineering thing. So people talk to each other and they start asking each other, dude-like question, like how much you earn. And once they found out that somebody else has higher rate than them, they would come to us and say that they want to be paid more because somebody else is paid more, because this is unfair. Naturally, we had to manage those situations as well. Really, just a lot of problems and a lot of issues, a lot of plan issues. If there's a manager that is happy to work with us, with these problems, work through these problems, they are getting resolved quite quickly by the manager. If not, and it's a dream come true to work with a freelance team like that. But if not, those problems just tend to accumulate. Your team needs to be developed. Not many people think about it. So quite a few people think about business metrics, like how many money did you save, how many translation engines did you connect, but those are not the relevant metrics. To continue this story, we are going to be talking about the communication within the team, the human-to-human communication. From the translator standpoint, you can do your work in different ways. You can stay silent professional, or you can pose yourself as someone who is very interested and engaging. To create a team of people who are engaged, who are proactive, not just a team of people who are tired of their life, is our goal. In exchange, we offer a team that is listening to you, a team that is talking to you and offers a lot of opportunities. If we see that a person is active, a person is engaged, we are not shy of raising their rates, for example, or offering other benefits, or offer a better breakdown of rates. When a freelancer's, our job is to make sure that when a freelancer receives a task from us, our task becomes a priority for him. You can look up reviews from all over the world about working with us. We are not shy showing those reviews, just like other companies do. They're very shy showing who do they work with, which is just laughable in my opinion. To summarize, it's to build a team and to determine the principles within the team, you have to determine your business goals. You have a lot of apps with very poor localization, and there is no such thing as a perfect localization, perfect translation, but a great option of setting setting business goals and adapting culturally to it. If you don't have your own localization, if you don't have resources for your in-house localization team, you may address to freelancers. So unless you don't have resources, I suggest that you have your work set up directly with your translators, without any people in the middle. Next slide, please. Here, I'm going to provide some examples of adaptation and culturalization that we have in our app. And I'm going to share a bit on practical effects of this adaptation. We have a section who is responsible for content for the United States. There is. For instance, stay here. As an example, we have a thing called territorial adaptation. Maybe next animation, please. We can see there's Kremlin there. That's for the Russian localization. While the source shots were taken from something more familiar to the American audience, or the Kursk gates in Spain, in Berlin, Brandenburg gates in Spain. There was some local sightseeing spot as well. We have a lot of cases like this where we adapt the background as well. We make our app basically native. Next slide, please. I don't think I have to comment anything here. For Russia, we could not avoid adapting this for the Russian language. We just used a different picture, and it's better drawn. I think it's a great example. Not only graphical adaptation, we also use the sweet tooth example. In English, in the German, pardon my German accent, is called like this, and it translates literally as a cat that has sweets in it. So sweet tooth doesn't apply here, so that's why we drawn a cat. In a Brazilian adaptation, they call someone with a sweet tooth as an ant. Ant is driving towards sugar, and we've drawn an ant here to make sure that we adapt that as well. Here, it's a case of adapting statistics. It talks about so our content is initially written for the American audience, and it includes a variety of statistics that might be applicable only to the United States. The Americans, it's not a good idea to leave this in the translated version. It might not be relevant for someone from Russia or someone who reads in Russia to know how much obese people are there, what's the percentage of obese people. It's much more interesting to find out the statistics on the CIS countries. Like this. It's a great example of how we how we use our research, find research results, and apply this to our adaptation. That 95% of Russians are under stress, for example, which is a sad figure, but it's still there. Here, in this slide, these are the stories that we write for holidays, for each specific country. For instance, you can see here Christmas and New Year article, localized. In other localizations, it differs, it varies, and we adapt all of this content. This is the example of how we present our New Year article. In Brazil, New Year is summer, basically. unexpected, and it would not be a great idea to draw snow there. And we've adapted the text as well, completely rewritten for local figures.
So essentially, this is transcreation, not just translation. Again, self-explanatory, the Butter Week. Just for every country, we localize the holidays we adjust the info to the local context. The Butter Week is something that is relatable to a Russian-speaking audience. But then we have an Oktoberfest piece on the way intended for the German audience. This is just how we do it. It's a personalized approach. And wrapping up, my next slide. Practical meaning or practical effect of this adaptation. Why do we need this? Intermittent fasting is about your conscious approach. It's about mindfulness, but it can be sensitive depending on the context of a particular country. And our content should reflect that specificity. So first we do the testing, go through the beta stage of the localized copy. Usually we have like a 20 to 30% improvement if we take this approach, and it gives you better yields in terms of number of users, for example. So we collect the analytics all the time. We read articles on the associated topics. In some country, it could be about stress. In another, it could be about family and children, such as in Brazil, for example. In Germany, it's the articles about sports, and in Spain, it's about mindfulness and mindful nutrition. So we process those articles, we rank them somehow in our library, and then we display the most relevant ones depending on the localization. So the statistics give you this flexibility. They help you align the content with the user, and when the user sees that, when they feel that this is something relatable, it improves your whole user experience, and it makes them want to use the app more and to share that experience on the social media, saying like, wow, guys, check out this app. Because something designed for an American audience would not work if you have a Kremlin image on that. I mean, this is something that you cannot measure, but it adds to your ratings and it adds to your user engagement, retention, stuff like that. Okay. I think that it's time to switch. Sasha? Give us more info on the tech part. Yes, thank you, Pasha. You could have left me more time, actually. But thank you, anyway. After this intermission, let me tell you a little bit more about how we localized the app and about the issues that we faced and about our Napoleon plans for the future. And before I go into that, let me just quickly tell you that when we were preparing this presentation with Pasha, we came up with 100 slides, and then we had to somehow squeeze that into 30 minutes, which means that we had to leave just the essential stuff. But it didn't make us sad. It helped us do what they do in Hollywood, like create sequels all the time. breaking it into three parts, actually. So the plan was really very easy. We had to decide on the format, on the timelines, and on the string base and connectors, choose the cat, integrate and automate, then decide on the platforms and devices, and then get the profit. You know that famous monologue from the Las Vegas movie about the fear and loathing in Las Vegas. So this is in a way what we did. We did the chatbots, we did the Android and iOS clients, backend emailing, web funnel, FAQ. There must have been something else that I'm forgetting. So we did a lot of things like that, and all those different pieces of content were located in different places. They had different formats. So we had to choose something transitional and localize it. And we believe humbly that this is your best format. When just besides the text to be translated, you have all the metadata and the context for the translators, those unique string keys, character limitations, any comments from the product team, from our team, references to the screenshots, things like that. That is why those standard resource formats just didn't work for us. Neither did the native formats such as the HTML and the like. So we had to choose. We were choosing between the two, your regular files with the context and meta info, the PO, the .json, different formats like that, and then multilingual, something that is very convenient in terms of audio-visual representation, the Excel, the Google Sheets, the CS files, and they have their strengths and weaknesses, and we had to choose somehow, and we believe that they both are legit. This is what the final scheme looks like. This is how it works with databases and the connectors. The base is in the center. It is the core, a repository of the text that we are processing. We put them together, then we send them in for translation, and then again we distributed the output into the respective folders. We have resource files in different repositories. We use the connector, just one button that aligns them and compares with or against the database. And if the string is not in the database, it puts it there and marks it as new. And then if there are strings with unique keys but different text, it also adds the string and then marks it as an altered one. If the resource file had some text but then it was removed, some feature was dropped, things like that, it is marked as obsolete and just hidden from us. And then in the chat, we get the notification about the new strings. And it is very handy, by the way, because you just don't need to wait for the team to inform you. You're always up to speed about what's new, and it's very easy to plan your work. Then we export it into the file, then import it or upload it into the cat tool. Then the magic of translation happens. Then we adapt it culturally, take the output, put it in the database of translations, and then using the connector, we create the localized version and put them where they're supposed to be. I know that this might sound confusing, but in reality, this is very easy, very neat. I'm gonna skip these ones. I understand that I don't have that much time left. So, could you demonstrate video 1? Thank you. This is like what you expect your automated processes to happen. I mean, when you are bundling tools, when you're using the API, but this is the reality. Video 2. Thank you so much. So this is what it looks like usually. I mean, in reality, because there are always those bottlenecks, disagreements between the elements of the system. Yeah, like that. An ocean of devices, says the slide. This is how we were selecting our device. And this is a great metaphor, actually, by the way, about the digital market and the devices, because we all want to cover as many platforms and as many devices as we can, but it is not easy, especially when it comes to localizing, because it like multiplies your budget. And so this is what we did. We looked at the user statistics to see who's using what and on what platforms. We grouped this data, and iOS was not bad, the statistics, so we just went for different kinds of different screen dimensions, because whatever you take on the 12th iPhone would look great on a mini and other dimensions. So Apple respect for making it work, your ecosystem. For Android, things are much worse. So we looked at the density of the pixels, and the Android guys, they actually group their devices by this characteristic, and so we did the same. And we went for this more or less premium segment, XX HDPI, those state-of-the-art Samsung 9, 10, what have you, XX HDPI. Like I said, those can be the phones like a couple years old models, average price segment. So we are happy that we managed to cover, say, a certain amount of devices used by our users. For Apple Watch, it's all very simple, couple different sizes, and it looks great on any one of them. Now, Android, I just love the platform. Not so much, actually. There are challenges that just keep following me wherever I go. This is the zoo of devices. This is a BlackBerry #1 with an Android installed on it, and something went really, really wrong here on the main screen. There is no insurance against that, because there will be this Galaxy Fold tomorrow that you can just fold over your belt, and who knows what's going to happen. Then the font. Many users use larger fonts, and this is not something that we can control. I mean, we try to vary the settings, but still, those users who have problems with vision, they make their font larger, which leads to what you see on screenshot #2, and then those ELF fonts, those Comic Sans that some of our users prefer. They are impossible to integrate. They are impossible to test, to model. So this is like our dark spot. This is something that we do not know what's gonna happen, and this is very difficult to test and support. Future plans. This is what our plans are. We will keep up automating. We will develop the internal tools. The database is inside the CMS with a different context. So we're planning to add different features using visual editing solutions or editors, the chatbots, and then we want to use the chatbots to handle our communication with the users based on the triggers in the case system. When, for example, there's just a day left to the deadline, we could notify the translator via this bot, like, are you doing okay? And then, I mean, instead of using personal emails, because no one likes that, right? The managers, the translators, and so we could use the bots to do that job. And what Sasha said, the A and B testing and the experiments. localization. Not very many companies actually do that, but they should. I mean, imagine you have this screen, very important, a paywall, selling subscription to an app or the app itself. And then you have that that button at the bottom, like buy, continue, change your life today, whatever. And so this every option is perceived differently, and it can impact your conversion rates. So bottom line, you need to optimize the text when you localize. You need to make sure everything aligns, and if you want to know more about it, look for the Shakespeare system used by Netflix. They published this very interesting post, and we need to localize this one, and no one ever does somehow. Or few companies, like I said. Now the rakes. They are just all over the place. I mean, wherever you go, you step on it, something that you've already done. I mean, the team has this understanding, their own vision. Then there are strings that they need to process. Just remember about the rakes and do your job right. Then your team, those who work for you, are they are gold. They are your reserve that you rely on, and making sure that the team works well. I mean, there's collaboration can get you a long way. Now, the tools that we're using, they are secondary. I mean, there's a lot of CAD tools in the market, different stuff available, and you need to be prepared that you have to adjust every time. You need to take what's new and integrate. I mean, using not what you are used to, but something that is more adequate and more appropriate. Now, product metrics over translation metrics. I mean, I understand that MLVs and LSPs, they have their own requirements, but we're not so much interested about the number of bugs per 1,000 words, for example. We are much more curious about whether our app performs in different languages. I mean, we are concerned about performance, and so your best localization impact is when you can see that you're separate, like certain elements of your product, that they work in different languages. And finally, your localization manager, and consider this a word of encouragement for those who are starting out. I mean, localization is not the end of it, because there is the data analytics, there is writing, development. I mean, you can apply all those skills when you localize. So keep exploring the new things, the new skills. Like Pasha and I, for example, we are developing all the time, continuously. And if you do the same, it will make you more valuable as an asset to any team, and you will perform better compared to doing the same thing every day.
A bit of a promotional slide. I'm wrapping up already. So the first one, listen to Pasha's music. It's our rising star of dark neo-folk scene. His group, his band is called Hellbreed. There's also Yana, our designer and illustrator. She's drawn all the stickers. If you need any assistance in design, feel free to address her. There's also Boris Sergeyevich, who is my brother and who has helped with compiling this presentation. Thank you, that's about it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Thanks for your attention. We have just about enough time for a couple of questions. If you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to the presenter and they will be happy to answer you. Thanks a lot. I had great time listening to you. Very enjoyable and fun. First of all, do you plan to add Ukrainian into the set of your languages? It's a tricky question. We often say that we want to add Ukrainian, but economically it's not feasible at the moment. We have targets for other languages, and by adding another language to a platform, we're not sure we will be able to gain our expenses, earn back our expenses. Some companies, when they plan to expand into the Asian or European market, they start adding regional languages. So probably in the future we will be adding Polish, Ukrainian, etc. I can add from myself that we value our Ukrainian users a lot. We have a lot of users, and the speaker is not using the microphone. So what drives the selection of your language? Data analysis on whether society is interested in proper healthy nutrition, healthy lifestyle. Yes, it's related to metrics. The speaker is not using the microphone. We've conducting research where we research intermittent fasting, whether that's interesting, whether there's any interest in the society, and only after certain research we come up with a decision, including marketing research. We are able to tell whether we want to expand into that market. It's not just us pointing in the sky and saying, right, we should be localizing for a certain market. Guys, another question about languages. Is it Russian for Russia, or is it Russian for Ukraine, Russian for Israel, adapted languages, adapted locales? For example, you've shown an illustration where you had a girl with Kremlin in the background, and then Golden Gates in the background, Brandenburg Gates in the background. What about Israel? What about Ukraine? What about Russian-speaking audience in those countries? We have statistics. We analyze users that are switching to a certain language from in a certain country, and we include support for certain language. Of course, we use Russian for customers in Russia. Same applies to Spanish localization, Spanish European, and we have Spanish localization for Mexican locations. As for Israel, Russian language is not included there. It's mostly popular in English. Our app is mostly used in English there. As for Russian specifically, it's only the most locations are enabled there, like CIS countries, not Israel. But we have not analyzed how many users switch to the Russian locale in Israel. Maybe we should have a look. It makes sense. Thank you. Feel free to take those last stickers, the very last batch. There's not going to be any more.